In the far reaches of an uncharted sector of the galaxy, a faint but urgent distress signal pierced the silence, capturing the attention of a curious alien species exploring the cosmic wilderness. This SOS originated from a planet so hostile that even the bravest explorers had long avoided it. Known among the scattered star maps as the Death World, the planet was infamous for its lethal storms that poisoned the very air, jagged mountains that tore ships apart on approach, and wildlife so vicious that survival seemed impossible. Yet the signal was clear, desperate, and filled with a raw urgency that demanded investigation. When the alien explorers descended through the thick, toxic atmosphere, they saw the landscape unfold in all its savage beauty and terror. Twisting lightning flashed across the dark skies, and violent winds howled, carrying with them the scent of decay and danger. Among the rocky outcrops, the explorers spotted the shattered remains of a ship unlike any they had seen before. The design was advanced, sleek, yet rugged, built to endure the planet's fury. Amid the wreckage, they found the survivors, humans known among themselves as Deathworlders, a group specially adapted to live in the harshest environments their home planet could throw at them. Clad in battle-worn suits and armed with weapons that seemed almost alive with energy, these humans exuded a fierce and unyielding spirit that instantly set them apart. The aliens approached with cautious curiosity, unsure what to expect from these strange but hardy beings. The Deathworlders spoke of loss, of worlds destroyed, and battles fought for survival. But beneath their stories lay an unspoken warning. Their ship, though crippled, still emitted strange energy readings that defied the aliens' understanding. The technology powering it was unlike anything in the known galaxy, an amalgamation of innovation and raw power that suggested something far more dangerous than simple survival. The meeting was tense. The aliens offered aid and shelter, hoping to build trust and learn more. But the Deathworlders were guarded, their eyes sharp and wary. It became clear that the distress call was more than a plea for rescue. It was a signal that something greater was at play. A call for allies in a fight that could ripple across stars and civilizations. As the first uneasy alliance took shape under the shadow of the Deathworld's deadly storms, a silent agreement passed between them. To help the humans was to step into a conflict much larger than any one species could face alone. The Deathworlders. Warning hung heavy in the air, a promise that their story was just beginning, and that the galaxy might soon awaken to a power it was not ready to confront. The alien crew soon discovered that the Deathworlders' ship was far more than just a vessel. It was a moving fortress, a masterpiece of technology and warfare. Every system was built to endure relentless attacks, shielded by adaptive energy barriers that could shift and strengthen against incoming fire. Inside, automated defense drones patrolled silently, ready to strike with precision and deadly force at any sign of threat. The ship's core housed experimental engines capable of bursts that outpaced anything the aliens had ever seen, and weapon systems that blended energy and projectile tech, engineered to cripple enemy ships before they could react. As the Deathworlders slowly recovered from their ordeal, they began to reveal fragments of their harrowing history. Their homeworld had once been a thriving world, rich in life and resources, but it had fallen victim to a sudden and brutal invasion by a coalition of merciless warlords. Forced from their lands, the Deathworlders became nomads of the stars, fighters hardened by loss and shaped by the relentless need to survive. They traveled from system to system, always on alert, prepared to defend themselves against any threat, at any moment. Their society was built on strength, resilience, and a fierce loyalty to one another, making them formidable allies but dangerous enemies. The aliens, though impressed by the Deathworlders' resilience and the sheer ingenuity behind their ship, found themselves growing wary. A people so battle-ready, wielding technology so advanced, posed questions about the balance of power in the region. What did it mean for the fragile peace between star systems if such a warlike force moved unchecked? The tension in the alien crew grew, and unease settled in as they pondered their next move. Their doubts were soon confirmed when a reconnaissance, drones sent to scan the surrounding space, detected an approaching fleet, hostile and heavily armed, closing in on the Deathworlders' location. The fleet's markings identified it as one of the mercenary groups responsible for the Deathworlders' exile, intent on finishing what they had started. The news struck the alien crew like a thunderclap. War was coming to their doorstep. Grave decision lay before them. Should they step forward and defend these fierce warriors, risking their own ships and lives in a battle that might escalate beyond control? Or should they retreat into neutrality, avoiding involvement in a conflict that could ignite widespread violence across the galaxy? The moment tested their courage and loyalty, for helping the Deathworlders meant choosing a side in a war no one could afford to lose. The shadow of uncertainty loomed large, but the aliens knew one thing clearly. The days ahead would change everything, and the universe they knew was about to be reshaped by the rising storm of war. The hostile fleet arrived, much sooner than anyone expected, catching both the Deathworlders and their new alien acquaintances off guard. Without warning, a barrage of energy weapons lit up the dark expanse of space, shattering the silence with violent explosions. The attacking ships moved with ruthless speed and deadly precision, aiming to cripple the Deathworlders' ship and the nearby alien vessel before either could mount a full defense. But the Deathworlders were far from helpless. They reacted instantly, their ship transforming from a fortress to a trap designed to hunt and destroy. Using tactics perfected on their harsh homeworld, they wove through the battlefield like shadows, striking swiftly and without mercy. Automated defense systems locked onto enemy ships with deadly accuracy, disabling engines and weapons in rapid succession. The aliens watched in awe and horror as the Deathworlders displayed a terrifying blend of raw power and cold efficiency, their fighting style a brutal dance of survival and vengeance. Each attack was measured, calculated to inflict maximum damage, while conserving their own strength. But the battle was more than just a fight for survival. It was a signal that a larger invasion was underway. As the skirmish unfolded, data streams revealed multiple fleets mobilizing, their intent clear. This was only the beginning of a campaign meant to conquer and dominate vast regions of space. The aliens realized with growing dread that they were now trapped between two forces locked in a deadly struggle. On one side were the Deathworlders, a fierce and unyielding warrior race fighting desperately to protect their freedom and existence. On the other was a merciless enemy, driven by ambition and a hunger for control, willing to bring destruction to any who opposed them. The stakes were no longer limited to a single ship or system, but extended across countless star systems, where countless lives hung in the balance. The weight of this realization settled heavily on the alien crew, who understood that their choices in the coming hours could shape the future of entire civilizations. They faced a painful truth. Neutrality was no longer an option. To survive, they would have to stand with the Deathworlders and confront the storm that threatened to engulf the galaxy. The battle that began as a sudden attack became a brutal test of will, strategy, and endurance, a fight where only the strongest and most determined could hope to prevail. Every blast of energy, every evasive maneuver, and every calculated strike echoed the harsh lesson of the Deathworlders' past. In a universe filled with danger, only those willing to fight fiercely would endure. And as the battle raged on, both allies and enemies understood that the coming days would decide not just the fate of a few ships, but the destiny of the stars themselves. As the battle around them grew more violent and chaotic, the alien crew made a decision that could change everything. They chose to stand with the Deathworlders. It was not an easy choice, for years of isolation and suspicion had kept the aliens distant from warrior races like these, especially one so fierce and mysterious. But as enemy ships swarmed from all sides, it became clear that survival depended on unity. The Deathworlders' ship, unlike anything the aliens had ever seen, became the spearhead of their combined forces. Its hull, scarred yet unbroken, seemed almost alive with power. It cut through the enemy lines like a blade, its advanced weaponry and armor outmatching most opponents. The aliens brought their own strengths, cutting-edge support technology, precision intelligence from long-range sensors, and agile fighter craft that danced through the firefights, striking where the enemy was weakest. Together, their forces began to push back, turning the tide of the battle from near defeat toward a hard-fought hope. Yet beneath the surge of cooperation, an undercurrent of doubt remained. Trust was a fragile thread, stretched thin by centuries of conflict and cultural differences. Old fears whispered among the ranks. Could the aliens and Deathworlders truly work side by side without betrayal? Would their differing goals and histories clash once the immediate threat was gone? These questions hung in the air like a shadow, threatening to undermine their fragile alliance. The tension only deepened when intercepted enemy transmissions revealed a shocking truth about the invading fleet's fear. It was not only the Deathworlders' combat skill that unnerved them, but something far more terrifying. The ancient weapon, concealed deep within the Deathworlders' ship. This weapon, a relic from a forgotten era, was said to hold the power to annihilate entire star systems in a single strike. Its existence had been a well-guarded secret, a last resort for the Deathworlders, if they ever faced extinction. Now the enemy was desperate to seize or destroy that weapon before it could be used against them, adding a new level of urgency to the fight. The alliance between aliens and Deathworlders had to act swiftly, knowing that failure meant not just defeat in battle but the potential erasure of countless worlds. They strategized quickly, balancing offense with defense and sending out urgent communications to warn nearby systems of the impending threat. In the heart of this deadly conflict, every decision felt like walking on a knife's edge. One wrong move could trigger catastrophe. Despite the danger, a strange bond began to form between the two groups, forged in the heat of combat and the shared desire to protect what remained. The Deathworlders, fierce and unyielding, found allies in the cautious but determined aliens, while the aliens came to respect the raw courage and unbreakable will that defined the warrior race. Together, they were more than just a combined force. They became a symbol of resistance against overwhelming odds. Yet even as they fought side by side, the question remained: would their alliance survive the trials ahead, or would the shadows of mistrust and fear tear them apart before the war was over? The fate of the galaxy depended not just on their weapons or strategy, but on their ability to overcome the greatest enemy of all: doubt within their own ranks. After long months of fierce battles, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, as the combined forces of the Deathworlders and their alien allies finally repelled the invading fleet. The cost had been high, many ships destroyed, countless lives lost, but the victory was undeniable. As silence settled over the battlefield, it became clear to all that the galaxy's peace was no longer something to be taken for granted. The great Deathworlder ship, once a terrifying weapon feared across star systems, now stood as a powerful symbol not of domination, but of protection. Its battered hull bore the scars of countless fights, yet it remained unbroken, a testament to resilience and honor. In the aftermath, the humans of the Deathworld and their alien partners came together to forge a new pact, an agreement born of shared hardship and mutual respect to guard the galaxy against any threat that might arise. The once solitary and misunderstood Deathworlders, feared as savage survivors roaming the stars, were now recognized as guardians whose dangerous technology was controlled by a code of responsibility and courage. Far beyond their immediate systems, word spread quickly. Any force foolish enough to threaten the fragile peace of the galaxy would face the combined wrath of the Deathworlders and their allies. It was a warning not just of strength, but of a new era where power was tempered by wisdom and unity. The uneasy trust that had formed in the heat of battle now began to solidify into lasting friendship, as cultures once separated by fear learned that their greatest weapon was the bond they shared. Through their struggle, they had discovered something more important than victory: the knowledge that true strength is found not in destruction, but in protection, not in conquest, but in the courage to stand together. As the stars glimmered quietly overhead, the story closed on a hopeful note. The galaxy remained vast and full of unknown dangers, but it also shone with the promise of peace, guarded by those who understood its value. In this new dawn, the Deathworlders and their allies became more than warriors. They became the new guardians of a future where survival was a shared journey, and the greatest power lay in unity.